The thing about a course is that if you don't have a format in which people can interact and support each other and get help from each other and stuff, you don't get a lot of success. The success rates tend to be a lot lower because people get discouraged. All they have is you, the lofty expert, and they feel like I'm down here, you're up there. Without that peers, like, "Ooh, we're all doing this together. How are you doing this? I'm doing that." Um, there's just way lower success rates. I basically got into paid community by accident because
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Scroll Halters with your host, Mitt. I'm Nami, a show where entrepreneurs, creators, and marketers share their best stories and insights. This show is brought to you by Social Marketing Writing. Today, I'm joined by Carol Tice. Carol started out as a freelance writer and achieved great success writing for sites like Forbes, Entrepreneur, and Seattle Business. So she launched Freelance Writers Den, a paid community where she taught writers not only how to write better, but also get clients and run a freelance writing business. This community generated over $6 million over its lifetime before it got acquired. So she now teaches other people how to grow their own paid communities at Community Growth Academy. Hi, Carol.
hi, no, thanks for having me on.
Yep. Thank you for coming on. And as you've had such great success running communities, my biggest question for you is, what does running a paid community, what sort of advantages does running a paid community have over selling something like a course or an ebook?
So many, so many. Um, First off, you could not launch. You can be continuously open and not have to do a big drive of like, oh, we're all going to take a course now. Um, the thing about a course is that if you don't have a format in which people can interact and support each other and get help from each other and stuff, you don't get a lot of success. The success rates tend to be a lot lower because people get discouraged. All they have is you, the lofty expert, and they feel like I'm down here, you're up there. Without that peers, like, "Ooh, we're all doing this together. How are you doing this? I'm doing that." Um, there's just way lower success rates. I basically got into paid community by accident because that model got proved out to me. I did one-on-one coaching and I had some successes and some not. Then I did a small group coaching. I had like 10 one-on-one coaching students at the same time, and I stuck them all in a group where they could talk to each other, and the successes were way better. And then it was like, well, what if we leveraged that up to where I could help hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people more effectively at the same time, thousands of people eventually in the den, 1,500 members at a time with greater effectiveness. So if you care about results, which some teachers don't, but if you want your people to be successful, paid community is kind of mandatory. The other thing is just in terms of your lifestyle, that monthly membership means recurring monthly income. And it's just so much more reliable than having to do that big course drive, or even if you have a course that runs on autopilot, those tend to kind of sputter out if you were not supporting them and providing that support. I mean, look at the prices of courses on Teachable. It's like they're all going down, 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 down. And it's because they're not very valuable. Where paid community is tremendously valuable. It's like, what are people looking for in the world today? They're looking for connection and, someone who understands them. And, in freelance writers, then we were forever getting people who were either expats in small towns, people in small towns in America, and they'd just be like, oh my God, no one in my town understands what freelance writing even is. They just keep asking me when I'm going to get a job. Being with your tribe and feeling seen, especially if those people are in different geographies and they're not like direct competition, is so freeing. People feel able to really share. Um, the formula is more recurring revenue for you, and it scales. Helping 1,500 people in a community format, does not really meaningfully take more staff or expenditure on your end. It actually is a scalable business, and so if you want results, if you want a scalable business, the other thing about the course that's you're the star of it and there's no community is you have not created a saleable asset where a community is a business that can be sold. I
Yeah.
sold mine. It has the value of all the courses you've created, which live on, and that IP is in there. But the saleability of it is in the community, is the fact that the community works together and supports each other. Um, so it becomes more than you, and that means you can take yourself out of the business and someone else can operate it. And every coach, consultant, teacher I know, they don't have a saleable business. They are the business. So if you're looking at what's your end game, are you ever going to retire? Are you ever going to be able to stop going? You need to build something that can be sold. And a paid community is a much easier way to do that. And you said to me before we started the recording, a lot of people are starting paid communities on School. A lot of investors are investing in School. Like big venture capital investors are investing in School because paid community is the business model that wins online. And I think big money people are noticing that and are starting to put their money into it because it's just so effective. And the other thing is that if you hate marketing, that's the other angle. It's impact more people, more regular recurring income for you, and ability to impact more people. I feel like there's another part. There's so many advantages. It's hard to grab them all at once. Um, oh, the marketing side. That's the part I forgot. So, do you love marketing, Mitt, or would you rather like be doing your client work?
I like marketing, but
You
that's
like marketing.
marketing.
Well, many of us do not.
Okay.
I did not come out of marketing. I came out of journalism. I'd never sold anything to anybody when I started my blog and then opened Freelance Writers Den. And a lot of us would prefer to be doing the work we are experts in, which is helping other people achieve some kind of life transformation. Like I was taking freelance writers who were earning 20 grand a year and making them earn 60 and completely changing their lifestyle. A lot of us would rather invest more of our time in that than marketing, 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 marketing. And what it does is if you've got $1,000 course going, it's a lot harder to sell $1,000 thing or a $10,000 one-to-one coaching package or something like that than it is a $25 or $47 monthly community where you can quit anytime. It's like
Yeah.
now you're getting all the value I had in that high ticket coaching for 25 bucks a month, no obligation, leave anytime. That's a lot easier to market. It's a lot
Okay.
easier to sell a $25 thing. So for people who hate marketing, want reliable income, want to have a bigger impact on more lives, that formula leads to paid community.
Yeah, you mentioned that people are investing more into platforms like School, and you can see that with success of these
Yeah.
other platforms like Circle and Whop. I don't know if you heard of Whop.
That one I haven't. Kajabi is another big one.
Because even I know
Yeah.
I use ClickFunnels, and recently they introduced this thing called Community in there to build community.
Oh, big companies are adding communities like crazy.
Yeah.
They're realizing that it's a great way to bond with their customers, let their customers know each other. Yeah, big companies are totally jumping on this bandwagon.
So you grew Freelance Writers then to 1,500 people,
1,500 members.
1,500 members, and you did that all organically.
Yeah, we didn't pay. Well, we did a tiny bit of paid Facebook ads, but not a meaningful amount in the world of ad spending.
Okay. So how do you get most of these members organically?
So the paid community was built on the back of my blog. The blog had, 25,000 subscribers. And though it had 1,000 when I opened the den, but like it kept growing. And so it was kind of the funnel of how people learned about the community and they'd get invites to a free taste of it and, like come see this free recording or come to this free call and, they'd get recruited in from there.
Okay.
But the blog is where they learned to who I was and, got to know me, got to trust my advice.
Yeah.
And that took years and years and years to do. And so in Community Growth Academy, I'm growing it in a completely different way. We are using paid Facebook ads, and they pretty quickly built a lead list of about 4,500. And I'm kind of just getting to know those people because people you get through paid ads do not know you yet, and you kind of have to do more. I'm also running it as at this point like a slow rolling beta. I really wanted to start small and get to know everyone and their needs and what they needed in terms of courseware. What did they need to learn about? What were the gaps? And as always happens, I've learned about things I never imagined were happening. Um, I keep meeting people who have gone off in a vacuum and built a whole community. They've built their course, they've built out all the features, they have no audience. They have done no pre-marketing. They haven't been talking about how they're building this thing on social media. They don't have an opt-in list. They have no feedback or input. They didn't do a pre-launch survey of people in this category. What do you need from me? And now they have an empty hole of a community that no one is buying. And they're like, what did I do wrong? So I learned that people need to understand audience
Yeah.
and that you have to decide what your strategy is for building one, whether it's paid ads or you're going to blog and get to know people that way, or you're going on podcasts like this, or how are you going to connect with the people who need what you're offering. So I'm now working on, I have a step-by-step course of how to launch and how to run it and how to sell it,
Yeah.
uh, how to go through that process, which I think a lot of digital entrepreneurs have never even thought about. My secret weapon is that I was a business reporter for a long time and watched companies and followed mergers and acquisitions, and I understood the importance of building a saleable asset from the beginning. And I, just understood how to think about it like a business. And that was what I brought to freelance writers, is that most of them were not thinking about their business like a business. It was all, I'm following my muse. I write for whoever asks me. They were not in any way business oriented, and kind of giving them that business discipline. So, yeah, so what I thought they needed was how to prepare to launch, how to run a launch campaign, how to run your community after you launch and keep going and keep building membership, and eventually how to sell it. And what I learned is there's a missing beginning piece, which is how do you find out where your audience is? How do you connect with them? How do you build the audience that's going to buy this?
Yeah.
So, that's been the surprise for me. So you have to find a mode in which you're talking to the people who are your prospects for that community to learn what they need, or you're going to waste a lot of time building stuff that nobody wants, so they don't know you.
That's the most important one, creating the offer that makes your community different from everything else out there that people wanted. Because
Well,
people
that is part of the launch sequence, is doing competitive research. What is already out there? What do you know that's different? Who are you that's different from, that would appeal to a different audience segment? And everybody wants to skip doing competitive research and finding out what else is already out there because they feel like they're going to get depressed that, oh, someone else is already doing this. That doesn't matter. You're different from what they're doing. We have someone in our community who writes for remodeling contractors, and all the other experts in that space are like remodeling bros, and she's a millennial woman. And she finds that all of the marketing people in these remodeling companies are women in their office. They have a woman marketing person. So that's a market opportunity for her to reach people who might be turned off by those other guys. So don't skip market research. It's so important. And people think, well, there's no one like me, and that's bad. No, that's good. That's good. That, if there's a niche that's working, but no one's doing it your flavor, that's perfect.
Okay.
But I felt like the missing piece is people know what they know, and they get in their head of what they know, and they're like, well, I'm going to write out everything I know, and then people will like it. but they don't do any pre-marketing. As you're building a community, you should constantly be asking people like, what do you think of this name for a community versus that one? How about these brand colors? What do you think of this logo? I'm building this. Are you interested? I'm going to give discounts to the first people. Get on this list. They're not doing anything to make their launch succeed. They're not pre-marketing. And pre-marketing is the best marketing there is. Ideally, you're asking them, they're taking your survey, you're involving them in the building of your community because, again, communities are about all the people, not about you and your expertise. So by the time you launch it, the ideal is basically your messaging is just, that thing we've been talking about that you need, and that you told me all the stuff you need in the community, it's open now, you can join it, and they join. Like it's a really simple ask because they already know about it. They've gotten familiar with it. But people think they can drop this out of the sky and people will join, but that's not going to happen.
Is your
Because
program for
people need to feel like they belong to this, you know,
okay,
to join it.
okay, okay. Is your program for people in any specific niche, or you cover all niches?
Great question. Any kind of coach, consultant, expert. We have people who are looking to build a community around a passion project,
Okay,
around a personal passion in their lives for like how they eat or how, things like that, where it's not even what they do at work, but is a passion in their lives. And they're like, there isn't a community where I can talk to everyone about this, and we could create a shared resource of recipes and, um, anywhere you see an opportunity where collaboration between a large hundreds of people would create something special and unique and saleable,
yeah.
you have a good community model. But yeah,
Oh,
I have someone who is an American expat who's going to do one about moving to Europe. So that's another like passion topic. And I have people who are looking to do novel writing groups, and so it's all kinds of things.
okay. And are most of these people just looking to run a community, or is their goal to use the community to sort of deliver value and then upsell them into something more high ticket?
I haven't had too many people talking about that. That obviously is a model, and it's one I used in Freelance Writers Den because I did have a small group coaching double your money program, Den 2X Income Accelerator, that I sold out of the Den membership. So far, I think the discussion has been more around whether you want to have a free level and a paid level, which a lot of people are doing. You'll see that a lot on School. People will have a free level and sell you into a high ticket thing. But
Okay.
since I don't like selling high ticket, that's not my personal focus. I find that utterly exhausting. And just as I say, not what I enjoy doing with my life, marketing, marketing, marketing,
Okay.
taking
Okay.
tons of discovery calls or putting on 2-hour webinars day after day, all the stuff people do to sell high ticket.
Okay. And you use School for your community. Is that just the one you prefer, or you've tried other stuff and you stuck to School, or is there any specific preference for School?
Well, let me start at the beginning. So when I started Freelance Writers Den in 2011, things like School didn't exist. There
Yeah.
was no pre-built platforms for paid community. We were all on WordPress using lots of plugins to create community forums and things, and it was a hot mess, and it was very expensive, constantly needed updating and maintaining, and there'd be new and better plugins. It was so much cost. And um, we actually did a tech stack module where we compared Circle, Kajabi, and School. And I ended up on School for a lot of reasons. And I'm certainly not sorry that I'm on there. I'm very happy with it. And they're introducing new features like every week. So much of what we struggled with technically in Freelance Writers Den is solved for you in School. Running an affiliate program, we used to have to send 1099s to affiliates. We had an affiliate program plugin that had to talk to all the other pieces of software. School just did it so if you're in a community, you can refer that community, and the community owner has no paperwork. School splits the commission, splits the revenue for you. They do the 1099s. Like, I'll take it just for that. But I'd be happy to give you a tour if you want to screen share of some of the things I like about it. I could tour you around in Community Growth Academy.
Okay, maybe another time.
Another time. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, people should just come take a look and see what's going on. The other thing about school is there's a huge, huge community on school about how to win at school.
Okay.
So if you have any questions about, I'm trying to do this and it's not working, there are just thousands of people in communities like Schoolers that you can go in and be like, how are you doing this? Or why isn't this working? And just find out instantly how to deal with your problem. So it walks its talk in that it is a community itself as well.
Okay. Okay. Yep. Thank you so much for sharing all of this. Can you tell people how they can learn more about your Community Growth Academy and how they can find?
Sure. You can go to communitygrowth.school, like SCHOOL, or you can just go on school and find us at Community Growth Academy. The About page is really the place to start on it. And I don't even think of the URL of that because I go on it all the time. It's school.com/community-growth-academy/about
Yep.
is the place to kind of start checking out what we're doing. And I'm kind of coming out of a beta launch as we tape this in early April of 2025. I have about 10 more tickets left at the starting price, which is 47 a month. And then I think it's either going to annual membership only or it's doubling the monthly membership, or we're deciding what the next pricing will be for it.
So
So
97, would you say?
it may be 97 a month, or it may go to just annual memberships.
Okay. Okay.
So
So
if you
everyone,
want, if you want a really cheap way to learn a whole lot about paid community, come on down.
okay. Yep. So everyone, if you want to learn how to grow a community, check out communitygrowthacademy.com from someone who knows how to grow them. And yeah, get it before the price is double. And do you still offer ghostwriting?
I'm ghostwriting books
Okay.
is sort of my other side of my life. I think of what I do as all under the umbrella of digital nomad life. Running a paid community is something you can do easily from anywhere. The school app is fantastic, and that was another problem at Freelance Writers Den, is that we needed to go build our own, and we kind of never did because it's a nightmare and you have to constantly update it, another big cost. Their app is fantastic, and also, obviously, I ghostwrite books from wherever. I just came off a 4.5 month trip and turned in a manuscript when I got home.
Okay. Yeah, so if you need a ghostwriter, give Carol a shout on
I'm
LinkedIn,
booked,
the
but
website.
yeah, I'm
Um,
I'm kind of fully booked till later this year. But yeah, if
okay.
you're a coach who wants that, book in the back of the room for speaking or to qualify clients or something, yeah, I actually do that as well.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for the call, and thank you everyone for listening in. This show is brought to you by Social Marketing Writing, an agency that helps you with your social media marketing and email marketing. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Mitt.